Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today we are going to make a really fun mini blueprints beer card. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start off with the Distress Mixed Media Heavyweight cardstock. This is a 110-pound cardstock from Holtz. And then we're also going to be using his 3D texture fades. And this one is called Lumber. So this is an embossing, 3D embossing folder. I'm going to go ahead and place some of that mixed media cardstock in the embossing folder, and you can see how much dimension this is going to have. So I went ahead and ran that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine, but you do want to use the directions for your specific machine when you're running these 3D embossing folders through them. So now I'm taking my Tonic Studios trimmer from Holtz, and I'm just going to cut at one of those planks. Basically there's like 3 planks on this embossing folder, so I'm just going to cut one of those off. Now using my Distress Oxide in the gathered twigs and my foam applicator tool, I'm going to go ahead and apply that color all over. And you do want to add a little extra ink just to make sure you get down into those little crevices. So you want to completely cover this with the gathered twigs. Next, I'm going to take the Walnut Stain Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to add that just kind of around the edges a little bit, and then kind of darken up some of the knots in the wood there. So I'm just kind of patting it on, just adding a little bit here and there, but I do want to keep some of those light areas, so I'm not going to put it everywhere. And then I'm going to go around the entire piece here just to give a nice dark edge all the way around. Now using my Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, I've cut a panel that measures 5.5 by 4.25, so it's going to fit on the front of my A2 size card. Now grabbing the Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide ink, I'm going to start to work on my sky, and I just need it to start from about there up to the top. So I'm just going to add just random areas of this color on the cardstock. I'm not being fussy here, just kind of laying down a little bit of color, and then I'm going to come in with my second color, which is a Salty Ocean, and again doing the same thing, just randomly adding some little splotches of color here and there. And then going back to the Peacock Feathers, I'm just going to start to blend that out, and I'm adding a little bit of ink to my applicator tool, but not a lot. I just kind of want to blend these two colors together. So now taking my Distress sprayer, which just has water in it, I'm going to go ahead and spritz this panel, and then I'm going to take a paper towel and just blot up that excess. And that's going to leave some beautiful splotches on our sky. Now grabbing the stamps, these are from Stampers Anonymous Holtz collection, and these are the mini blueprints number 10. And you can see all the great images. Now this set has been around for a little while, but it is still available. And I'm going to be using the beer bottle, the mug of beer, and that pretzel. So I'm placing this panel in my stamping platform. And I just want to make sure that these bottles look like they're sitting on that wood bar that we're creating, this wood table or this wood bar. So what I want to do, and I want to stamp them first just to line up where they are going to be, and I also want to capture that text all around them, that beautiful blueprints text. So I'm going to go ahead and ink these up with the Versaclear Nocturne ink, which is a dark black, and I'm going to stamp these. We are going to be creating a 3D image later, so this is just our first stamping here. Now for the 3D portion, I'm going to go ahead and ink these up again, and I'm going to stamp them on some white Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock as well. So with these, again, I want to cut these out. So I'm going to go right up to the image here and cut all the way around these. So I will be cutting out some of that text, some of that blueprint text, but that's okay because we still have it on the card panel there. So these are going to be popped up, So I'm going to continue cutting these out, again following the line of the stamp. And then for that little mug handle, I also want to get rid of that as well. So I'm going to cut that opening out, and I'm using my retractable cutting blade here and a craft mat. This is the Fiskars mat, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that little piece out as well. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the bottle here. I'm just going to cut that following the lines of the stamp all the way around. Now for my coloring, I'm going to use 946 and the blender pen, which is N00. So I'm going to apply that golden color towards the left side, and I'm going to pull it towards the right. So I'm kind of lifting the pen as I go. So I'm just applying that golden color, and then I'm picking up the pen and lifting it and pulling it towards the right. So we're going to keep the right side of the bottle the lightest here. And then I'm going to come in with number 947, which is a light brown color. And we're going to kind of follow those shadows on the stamp. You can kind of see where those little hash marks are. So I'm going to kind of follow along with that. And then I'm going to add a little bit more down the center of the bottle here, down the side. And just pull that again towards the right. And it's going to give us this beautiful kind of amber looking bottle. Now for the beer itself, I'm just going to use 946. So I'm going to apply that color towards each side, the left side and the right side, and then I'm going to pull towards the center. So I'm pulling it from the left to the center and then from the right towards the center. And if you get too much ink on your blender pen, you can scribble it off on a scrap paper. When it goes clear, you'll know that it's clean. And you can also remove ink. You can just grab some excess ink, pull it off, and scribble it on your scrap paper as well. So now with number 451, which is a light pale blue, I'm just going to add a little bit of a reflection here on the beer mug here. So just adding a little bit of that and blending it out. And then with N95, which is a really pale gray, I'm going to add a little shadow to the foam on the top of the beer. And I'm going to blend that as well. And I'm just scribbling off that blender pen on scrap paper to make sure that it's clean. Now for the cap on the beer bottle, I'm using the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. And this is the sterling silver, which is a really pretty sparkly pen. And then for the foam, I'm using the crystal clear. And you can see you get a little bit of sparkle there. So now I can go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to use my score tape. This is the 1/4 inch. I'm removing the backing. I'm going to attach that here at the bottom of this panel. Now we can go ahead and pop up the beer bottle and the beer mug, and I'm going to use some Scotch foam mounting tape to do that. And I'm going to place plenty of tape all around here. Then I'm removing the backing and I'm going to attach these to my card. And now you can see that we can still see that beautiful blueprint text there. And we have this great dimension on the bottles. Now for a die, I'm going to be using Spellbinders Designer Series Tropical Paradise. And this one is called Palm Fronds. And again, this is a little bit older die set, but it is still available. And any die in the palms would be fine. So if you have something else, use that as well. I just happen to have this one in my stash. I'm going to die cut this 3 times, but I'm not going to remove the paper as I cut this. I'm going to try to keep these right all inside this piece of paper until I do my coloring. It's just easier to color these in while they're still attached here. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 of these. And again, before I remove these from the paper, I'm going to color them with the Twisted Citron. And this just makes it so much easier to color, especially when you have all these little ends here. They would get kind of bent and they're hard to keep flat as you're coloring. So this way it stays nice and flat. I've added the twisted citron all over, and then I'm coming in with the lucky clover just to do a little bit of shadowing down the center here. So I'm going to kind of pull it to the right and then a little bit towards the left and just blend it into that twisted citron. And I'm going to do that for all three of these, so you can see that there. Now with the Lawn Fawn paper bag cardstock, this is a 100-pound cardstock. I'm going to make a standard A2 size card. So that'll measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I've gone ahead and placed some score tape on the back of this panel, and I'm going to attach it to my card. I'm just lining these two pieces up with the table here and sliding it in place and gluing that down. Now for these palm fronds, I'm going to just place these off to the left-hand side here, and I'm just cutting that down a little bit. And I'm going to glue these down with my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. This glue goes on white, but it dries clear. And then I'm going to kind of curl up the little ends of the palm fronds a little bit, just with my fingers, just kind of pressing down and curling them up, just to give them a little bit more dimension. So again, I'm going to place that second one, just cutting away a little bit of the excess for now. We'll be cutting away the rest a little later on. Then I'm going to curl this one up as well. And then I'm just going to grab one more and kind of place it up towards the top here. Just trying to figure out where I want that. And so I'm going to place it up there at the top. I just think that leaves a little more room down at the bottom there for my sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead and position this one down. Now once I have all three of these in place, I can go ahead and cut away that excess. So I'm just going to grab my scissors here and snip off any of those excess ones that are hanging over the edge. And then I'm going back to my applicator tool, and I'm just going to finish off those edges a little bit, just adding a little dab of ink there. Now for the sentiment, I'm going to use from my favorite things, May Your Day Be Filled with Lots of Good Things, and the Happy Birthday for the inside. And these are from the Gumball Greetings collection. But here again, use any sentiments that you have. Just find something that you really like. And I will list all of these products down below and on my blog as well. Now I've placed these in my stamping platform. I'm just checking to make sure they're nice and straight. And I'm using my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink again to stamp these. So I'm going to cut these into little strips here because I want to create little banners out of these. So I'm using my Fiskars paper trimmer, and I'm just going to trim down, leaving a little bit of border on the top and the bottom of those sentiments. And then to create a little banner for each of these, I'm just going to snip a little bit off the ends here. And then I'm going to cut right down the middle here, up towards the middle. And then I'm going to snip in from each side, and that's going to create that little bit of a banner shape. I'm going to do that for the other side as well. And also for the one for the inside of the card, the happy birthday one. I'm going to edge this a little bit with the gathered twigs just to finish it off. And I went all the way around all four sides of that. And again, I did the same thing for the happy birthday. So now I can attach this to the front of the card. I'm going to use some 1/4 inch score tape here and center this. Now I grabbed the pretzel stamp again from the Blueprints number 10 set, and I'm going to go ahead and take an acrylic block and stamp this with that same ink. And I'm stamping on the Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that out all the way up to that black line again with my scissors. And I do want to get rid of that center part of the pretzel, so I'm going back to my mat, my cutting mat, and I'm going to cut that center area out of this pretzel. Now I want to color this in, so I'm going to use the Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide, and I'm just going to apply a nice coating of that. And then I'm going to use the Walnut stain just to give a little bit of a brownish edge all the way around the edges here. Now to give it the look of salt on top, I'm going to use my Jelly Roll white gel pen, and I'm just going to add some little white specks on here. So I did that all the way around. Now the happy birthday is going to go in this on the inside of the card, so I'm going to go ahead and put some tape on that, and I'm going to just center that here. And then I can go ahead and attach the pretzel as well, and I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to glue that down. So that's the inside of the card. Now going back to the front, I'm going to use the Nuvo Crystal Glaze, and I'm going to put glaze on the bottle and on the beer mug, and this is going to just make this pop. It just gives a beautiful clear glaze over the top. Then I added 3 little bubbles up at the top there as well. So I let this dry completely, and now you can see all the dimension we have. Some glitter on the foam there, and that beautiful dimension on the glass. And then the happy birthday inside. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.